Welcome back to The Narrative. I'm your storyteller, Callistra Faria. Joining me now on The Narrative is Nicoyanne Roberts of the Grenada Tourism Authority. She is the sales and marketing as well as nautical manager at the GTA. She's joining me to talk about the Caribbean Conference on Sustainable Tourism Development, which takes place in St. George's April 22 to 24 in a few days' time. Sustainable tourism, a very important topic for the region, given its heavy dependence on tourism, as well as the challenges that we face with climate change. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Callistra. Good morning, and I appreciate this opportunity that you and your team at The Narrative have provided to the GTA to come on and discuss the CTO's Sustainability Conference. I want to greet all of our GTA team members, beginning with our board chairman, our CEO, and every single member of the team who is bringing their best to ensure that Grenada is standing in the spotlight and shining as we examine the 5 Ps that will be the pillars of creating a sustainable Caribbean tourism legacy.
And the 5 Ps that you mentioned: people, planet, prosperity, purpose, and partnership. And how are the 5 Ps going to be explored and developed in the conference? What's the focus and the theme of coming out of the 5 Ps?
The way the conference has been formatted, Callistra, is doing exactly that, having the working sessions, having the roundtables, and bringing the moderators and the speakers, the practitioners of sustainable tourism in Grenada, in the region, bringing everyone around the table to examine what we do, how we do it, how to re-engineer thinking and carrying out these sustainable practices. So each one of the 5 Ps will stand alone with a roundtable that explores and looks at who are the people that practice sustainable tourism. What do they do? What do they look like? What are the lessons they learned? How do they share information through generations and use natural knowledge to leverage what they are doing in our geographic space? We look at our planet, all of the effects of climate change. We know that tourism has many positive effects, but because of the visitorship over time, the man-made challenges are certainly there, and they need to be considered and they need to be mitigated against. So looking at that, what is the sustainable prosperity avenues and paths, whether they're developmental, whether they are commercial, if they are leaving a legacy footprint, what do they look like and how do we impact them and build them and shape them? Purpose, why are we doing this? We're not doing it to benefit one person or one nation. It's a global voice, and we are allowing everyone to be heard. Some already have the ability to amplify their voices. And this conference, we hope, will be bringing Grenadian voices to the forefront that haven't been amplified enough to share what we are doing and how we are doing it. We also look at the lasting impact of partnerships, because we get things done better when we combine resources and thoughts and ideas. So each roundtable will examine this, and then we will also look at our indigenous Grenadian culture and highlight these success stories. What are the emergent practices that we are doing and that we are speaking about, and allowing other people who are attending the conference to talk to and to just bring all of that learning together. At the end of the conference, we will have a convergence panel that will look at where we have agreed, where we have disagreed, and what are the next steps that we are going to take to make this transformative and impactful even after the end of the conference.
So in the 5 Ps, I note partnership, and that has to be one of the most important aspects of the legacy Ps, because how we partner has to be very important to make all the blocks stand in the row that they need to stand in. Because when you're talking sustainable development, everyone must uh, do their part. It all has to be a chain reaction, or else it's not really going to work. How much how what sort of partnerships are important for Caribbean countries such as ours that depend so heavily on tourism? What sort of partnerships do we need to look at, and that the conference will explore on the path to sustainable tourism development?
We definitely have to have a holistic approach where we integrate the public sector, government, state owned agencies, and the private sector. And when we're looking at the private sector, we're looking at big business, and we're also looking at the small man, the man in the street who needs assistance because big business has big budgets to be able to market, to do research and development, to do monitoring and evaluation, and put things back into the value chain that would take their businesses to a place of success and ensuring that they have strong operational returns. How do we get that trickle down effect and ensure that no man or no woman is left behind in that development? When we're looking at harvesting, for example, sea moss, and we're looking at single females, households that are headed, it's only a woman, and this is her business, and this is how she takes care of her family. What is the benefit of her attending this conference, and how will she get support from government agencies and private sector businesses that have been able to stand the test of time? They're well established, they're legacy operations. How do we pull the community along? So it's a holistic partnership between the public sector, the private sector, and communities, because communities are where we really learn the nitty gritty as to what is being done with sustainable practices and livelihoods.
Because a lot of those sustainable practices that we talk about are a way of life in some communities, just the way people live and what they do, and can be translated on a bigger scale into the entire product, that makes us better off in all of the islands. Yes.
Definitely. One facet of the conference, in addition to the working sessions, the roundtables, we will also have study tours, which shows exactly this, where the rubber meets the road. We are going to be able to go into the Rastafarian community and do a sustainable tour with them to see how they grow what they eat, how they prepare their foods, what is that whole ITIL vibe that speaks to a sustainable lifestyle. And this is going to be done with Ras Ginga and his team up in Mamakan. That's one of 6 sustainable tours we have during the conference. On the last day of the conference, we have a tour that is being done to the Monkpanasas Plantation Estate with historian Michael Jessamy and young entrepreneur and attorney at law Trisha Simon, where they work with businesses in the community to show how a product, a sustainable product, is brought to market, but you have smaller community voices that are doing their part to build out and make the experience a much richer one. On the Wednesday, the 24th, we have 2 sustainable tours that will be done on board Royal Caribbean's Explorer of the Seas. And Royal Caribbean is a featured sponsor of the event. And a little later, I'll get a chance, I hope, to plug all of our sponsors, which shows this integration and how global, regional, and national partners are bringing their resources together to ensure that every voice is heard and every practice, every sustainable practice under these 5 pillars are recognized. Another one of the tours, now we always talk about how we use what is around us, the natural knowledge as to the sustaining benefits in terms of health and wellness of our flora and fauna. So we do have a study tour that will be guided through the Granatang on a couple of the trails with noted luminary Dr. Guido Marcel, and he will be talking about our flora and what are the different wellness benefits that we take for granted, and that in some areas of the world are really leveraged. And Grenada has this rich repository of biodiversity that we need to understand how to use, how to extrapolate and use the benefits, Callistra.
And you talk about the cruise ship tour. Expand on that a little bit, because as you were saying cruise ship, I was thinking, cruise ships. We
They've
you
gotten
know,
a little bit of a knock,
yeah,
and they are
we
trying to
like the
keep
US
their
dollars,
practices.
but we don't like them. So what exactly are they hoping to show with this cruise? How have things changed with the cruise industry that have become more sustainable and leave less of a negative footprint as they tour, particularly our Caribbean?
This is where we look at things that we don't normally all the time agree on and recognize that the partnerships part, as you said earlier, is critical for the success of the five pillars. And we look at the cruise ship industry, which definitely does reflect a significant piece of the pie for Grenada's tourism mix. In terms of volume, we get a much larger volume of cruise passengers coming in on the ships. 90% of them we measure disembark. They do not leave as much money in the economy as our bread and butter, our stay over, our long stay guests. But they do leave some financial benefit, which is felt immediately because when a cruise ship passenger purchases a tour from a tour operator, taxi driver, goes into a restaurant, purchases a piece of craft from one of our artisans, that money that goes into that person's pocket today, this morning, this afternoon, can be parlayed in a grocery shop around the corner for something to put on the table for the family in the evening. So we understand that economic impact, that multiplier effect. We also understand the fact that the cruise passenger who is here for 6 or 8 hours, once they see Grenada shining through the culture, the history, the cuisine, they can make a decision. Well, I've been to 3 other Caribbean countries, Antigua, St. Lucia, Barbados, but I want to come back next year and spend a week or 2 weeks in Grenada. So we have that conversion effect at play as well. We cannot negate these, and as I said earlier, the cruise ships are going the extra mile to ensure that they do things on board that are sustainable, especially since sustainability was highlighted as a critical success factor for businesses, especially during and after COVID for the cruise lines. So Royal Caribbean International, they've partnered with us. They're doing 2 onboard tours that will have the guests look at what are the practices operationally, what are the environmental practices that take place on this ship every single day, that looks at how they handle their power consumption, how they handle their waste, what do they do with waste, how do they recycle water. All of these things will be highlighted on the tour, the sustainability tours, and they are also hosting a luncheon on board the ship for all of the conference delegates. So we do see that the cruise lines are engaging with communities. When the cruise ships come, we are doing some of the tours that take them in to meet the real people. It's not the sun, sea, and sand alone. There's just so much more that we have to bring to the table. So they want to be a part of knowing how they can assist communities, how they can show us what they are doing, and how they can learn from our communities as well.
And speaking of sponsors, I understand that the newly opened. You want a minute to check your phone?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Last question, because I know you have to go. You have like less than
Yes.
5 minutes to go, and I'm watching the clock. So last question. Now, speaking of sponsors, the newly opened Six Senses Hotel at Las Vegas. I understand that from day one, they got a bad rap because there was some evidence of tremendous environmental damage on the site that they chose. They tore through some very sensitive area, and environmentalists were very upset about it. But I understand now that their practices in operating are sustainable. They've got an entire sustainable tourism operation, I guess, and they're even recycling glass. No plastic is allowed on the premises, which seems like redemption given how they started. But I understand they are one of your sponsors. What role are they playing? And tell me a little bit about how their hotel operating the way it is important for our product.
That is key. That whole ability to learn, that whole ability for us to dialogue and have a narrative that looks at how we support what we are doing with best practice. That being said, Six Senses, this is a global luxury brand, and they have recognized their commitment and the fact that they have to be seen to be doing what they've promised. They have employed a director of sustainability, and I don't think any accommodation facility in Grenada has ever had, I stand to be corrected, but has ever had a director of sustainability, and that's a young Grenadian woman. And so I take my hat off to Prisma. I know she has a lot to do with the team at Six Senses in ensuring that they can demonstrate to the world what Grenada's sustainability practices are all about. They are hosting for us on Sunday the 21st, and you said, and you're quite rightly so, the conference will be from the 22nd to the 24th of April. On Sunday the 21st, Six Senses is hosting a media breakfast where we have local and international media being able to receive a brief on the conference, discussing every element, pulling it apart, and having Six Senses being able to demonstrate to the media their living commitment to carrying out the tenets of sustainability, especially as we look at them through these 5 touch points.
Well, certainly when I heard about the Sustainable Development Department for the hotel and the director to run it all and what they're doing in the community as far as cleanliness and garbage disposal and so is concerned, they're sponsoring bins and so on. I was impressed, and certainly I have been trying to find Chrisma. I have not been able to get in touch with her yet, so I'm going to be asking you for her phone number after the interview because I really do want to have her on the program as well. To talk about what you're doing there. You wanted to run through quickly the sponsors, and I will give you that chance.
Yes, thank you. And I want to thank everyone. And I'm going to start with the local sponsors first. I want to appreciate Flow. We want to appreciate Streamline Networks. And we are open to partnering with anyone else who wants to reach out to us and see, is there a space for them to get their hands in there with us while we work on this. Royal Caribbean International is a featured sponsor, Inter-Caribbean Airways, Silver Sands Grenada, Six Senses La Sagesse, Link Strategic Partners, which is a company, a research company in the United States of America, and Little Caribbean New York City, which is an online platform that is definitely vested in bringing all of the positive messages to and from the Caribbean diaspora in the New York area. So we want to recognize those who have come on board. And as I said, please feel free to visit the website, CaribbeanSTC.com, and reach out to us if you are interested in partnering with us as a sponsor for the Sustainability Conference.
And the conference is open to anyone who's interested. I know there's registration. Is there a limit? Can anyone register?
Anyone can register. We're registering up to today, and there is a local rate. You can call us 440-2279. We will guide you through the website if you need. You can come into our offices on the Carenage and make that payment and definitely get on train so you can be a part of getting your voice heard and learning what Grenadian businesses are doing to develop this blueprint for sustainable Caribbean tourism, a legacy under the 5 pillars of people, planet, prosperity, purpose, and partnerships.
And so it's a paid conference. Is there a tiered fee structure? It's a flat fee no matter? Because I'm thinking community-based people.
We have made that consideration so that we have a rate for locals to participate, which is different from the full rate.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me on The Narrative, and we look forward to probably having someone back on The Narrative as we get closer to the conference. If there's any update that you want to share with us. Thank you so very much, Nicrian Roberts of the Grenada Tourism Authority.
Thank you, Kalistra. Our pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of the day.
More when we come back.